In the misty mountains, where ancient temples clung to the cliffsides like sleeping dragons, there lived a young disciple named An. He was ambitious, eager to prove his worth to the aging master. His chance came with the untimely passing of a traveling nobleman. The rites were complex, the rituals ancient, but An saw only an opportunity. In his haste to finish the burial and receive praise, he performed the final sealing. He carefully drew the cinnabar talisman, a potent ward against evil, and slapped it onto the forehead of the deceased. But in his rush, he made a fatal error. The talisman was placed upside down. A simple mistake, a careless flip of the wrist, but one that would unravel centuries of peace. That very night, as a storm raged outside, a deep, unsettling tremor shook the temple's burial chamber. The coffin, sealed and sanctified, began to rattle violently against its stone slab. The monks in their quarters stirred, blaming the wind, but An felt a cold dread creep into his heart. He knew. Inside the chamber, the upside-down talisman meant to suppress was now a conduit. It glowed with an eerie, malevolent light, then burst into black flames, turning to ash. A low groan echoed from within the wood, a sound that hadn't passed human lips in 1,000 years. Something ancient, something hungry, was stirring from its long slumber. With a final splintering crack, the lid of the coffin flew open. A figure rose, stiff and unnatural. Its skin was pale green, its fingernails long and black, its eyes vacant but burning with an unholy rage. A Jiāngshī, a hopping vampire, resurrected not by malice, but by sheer incompetence. Freed from the sacred bonds of the talisman, it was no longer a corpse to be revered, but a predator unbound. Its stiff limbs bent, and with a series of jarring hops, it began its horrifying search for life force, for Qi. The temple, once a sanctuary of peace, became a hunting ground. The Jiāngshīs hopped silently through the hallowed halls, its movements stiff yet unnervingly fast. It passed through the sleeping quarters, a shadow among shadows. One by one, it paused over the sleeping monks. Candles flickered violently as it drew near, the flames starved of oxygen, of life. It leaned over them, not biting but inhaling. It drew the very essence, the qi from their bodies, leaving them as cold, empty husks. The air grew frigid, the silence absolute, as the creature's power swelled with every stolen breath. At the first light of dawn, the temple master returned from his solitary meditation in the high peaks. He was greeted not by the usual morning chants, but by a profound, chilling silence. He walked the empty corridors, his heart growing heavier with each step. He found the first of his disciples in his cot, his body cold, his face a mask of placid emptiness, his eyes wide, lifeless, and staring at nothing. He found another and another. The entire temple was a mausoleum, its vibrant life force extinguished overnight, leaving only the cold stillness of death. The master's grief turned to horror when he entered the main hall. There, standing before the great golden statue of the Buddha, was the Jiāngshī. But what made the master's blood run cold was its face. It was no longer the nobleman's. The creature had stolen a new visage, a perfect, horrifying mimicry of the young disciple, An. It was An's face, but hollowed out, devoid of warmth or humanity, the eyes empty pits of insatiable hunger. It was a mockery of life, a walking ghost wearing the face of his most promising student. Realizing the catastrophic power he now faced, the master knew ordinary rites would fail. He retreated to the temple's forbidden library, unsealing scrolls that hadn't seen the light of day in centuries. He was forced to prepare the soul-binding convergence, a dangerous forbidden ritual that tethered the sealer's own life force to the seal itself. To bind the creature, he would have to risk his own soul, creating a lock that could only be broken if his own spirit faltered. It was a desperate gamble, a pact with forces darker than the Jiāngshī itself. The confrontation was cataclysmic. Chants echoed, Talismans burned, and the very air crackled with spiritual energy. The master, aging and frail, fought with the wisdom of 1,000 lifetimes, pitting his own dwindling ki against the stolen vitality of the creature. He lured it deep into the mountain, to a natural stone chamber, a place of immense elemental energy. With a final, agonizing shout, he slammed a master talisman onto its brow, this time correctly. The Jiāngshī shatter froze, its borrowed face contorting in silent agony, as scorched black marks burned into the cave walls, sealing it within a prison of stone and whispered chants. The master survived, but the forbidden rite had left its mark. The Jiāngshī was bound, locked away in the darkness. But where there should have been relief, there was only a lingering shadow. Back in the ravaged temple, as he stood before a polished bronze mirror, his own reflection flickered. For a terrifying, heart-stopping moment, the face staring back at him was not his own. It was the pale, hungry visage of the Jiāngshī. The connection was not severed. It was entwined with his very soul. The curse remains. The temple is quiet now, inhabited only by one old man and the ghosts of his failures. But every 7th full moon, a deep tremor runs through the mountain. Deep within the stone chamber, the scorched talismans flicker with a faint, malevolent light. The bond weakens. The ancient evil stirs. And the mistake, a simple, careless mistake, waits patiently for its chance to be repeated. The master watches the moon, knowing that as long as he lives, the seal holds. But he is old, and the hopping vampire is timeless.